disciples were on their way going up to Jerusalem, and Jesus went ahead of them. They were amazed, and those who followed were afraid. Taking the 12 aside again, he began to tell them what was going to happen to him. "Behold, we are going up to Jerusalem," Jesus said, "and the Son of Man will be handed over to the chief priests and the scribes, and they will condemn him to death and hand him over to the Gentiles, who will mock him, spit upon him, scourge him, and put him to death. But after 3 days he will rise." Then James and John, the sons of Zebedee, came to Jesus and said to him, "Teacher, we want you to do for us whatever we ask of you." Jesus replied, "What do you wish me to do for you?" They answered, "Grant that in your glory we may sit one at your right and the other at your left." Jesus said to them, "You do not know what you are asking. Can you drink the drink that I drink, or be baptized with the baptism with which I am baptized?" They said to him, "We can." Jesus said to them, "The chalice that I drink, you will drink, and with the baptism with which I am baptized, you will be baptized. But to sit at my right or at my left is not mine to give, but it is for those for whom it has been prepared." When the 10 heard this, they became indignant at James and John. Jesus summoned them and said to them, "You know that those who are recognized as rulers over the Gentiles lord it over them, and their great ones make their authority felt over them. But it shall not be that way with you. Rather, whoever wishes to be great among you will be your servant, and whoever wishes to be first among you will be the slave of all. For the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many." The Gospel of the Lord. I can just imagine James and John knocking at the door of St. Mark and saying, "Mark, oh buddy, we hear you're going to write a gospel." Well, you remember that time that we asked Jesus for these luxury seats in his kingdom? Can you just forget about that? It's kind of embarrassing. But Mark must have said, "Oh no, I can't forget about that. That's been handed down for me all the years. And it's always a good story. It's good for a groaner." Well, we know that never happened, but we do know that in this gospel, Jesus gave us a wonderful resume of himself and of who we should be too, if we follow him. That's when he said, "Whoever wishes to be first will be great among you, will be your servant. And whoever wishes to be first will be your slave." Let me tell you how I learned something about what it means to be a servant. This happened many, many years ago when I was teaching in our theology seminary in Wisconsin. And we had 100 theology students. We had to build an addition on the place. Those were the days. Anyhow, the monastery was in the shape of a square, and the addition we built was like an L appended to it. Now, on the end of this L was the recreation room for our faculty, where we would relax after meals. We had some snacks and drinks too. Now, on the other end, way in the corner of this monastery, was the kitchen. So I know whenever we ran out of snacks and drinks in our faculty lounge, somebody had to make that long trip all the way over to the corner to replenish them. And I noticed that they would be replenished whenever they would run out. And I didn't know who did that. I knew it wasn't a miracle, and I know I didn't do it. So I kind of spied, and I found out who the culprit was. It was Father Alex. Father Alex is a little older than I was, and he taught theology. And he was kind of forgetful. Like the time he couldn't find his prayer book for 3 or 4 days, and then found it in the refrigerator. But Father Alex was the one who would make that long trip from our lounge all the way over to the kitchen and bring back the snacks and drinks when they were out. And he always seemed to do it when nobody was watching. And he never complained about it. He never said, why don't you guys do this once at a time? Do I always have to be the one to replenish these things? No, he never did that. He was a servant. He did it quietly. He did it without complaining. He did it all the time. Well, I learned from that, and I tried to be a servant. Like I tried to beat Alex ahead of time and replenish the things in our refrigerator. But that's how I first learned what it meant to be a servant. When Jesus urges us to be a servant, he's not asking us to be the kind of servant he was who gave up his life for us. Few, if any of us, will ever have to do that. But we might have to give up little things, little conveniences, like cleaning up after somebody who's careless and doesn't clean up himself, or helping with the dishes or putting them away, or filling the gas tank when it's empty, or the ice cube trays when that's empty. Where I used to work, one day I opened the top of the refrigerator to get some ice cubes. There was the ice cube tray, empty. Somebody had put an empty ice cube tray in the freezer. What did they expect? A miracle that these ice cubes would just multiply themselves? But sometimes that's what happens in life. And if we're to be the kind of servant that Jesus asked us to do, it's that we should look at these little things, the little things that a lot of other people don't bother to do, the little things that can be an inconvenience to us, and they're not being done because others aren't willing to take that inconvenience. I'm sure you can find a lot of examples in your own life where you could do little things like that to be a servant. I don't have to give you more examples. But if we did that, this world would certainly be a much better place.